Welcome back. Today's story. There's a moment in every athlete's career where something shifts, not just in their game, but in the way the world sees them. One day, they're the underdog, the promising talent, the name people half recognize. And then, almost without warning, they become someone you can't look away from. That moment is happening right now with Alexandra Eala. And if you haven't been paying close attention, you might have missed just how dramatic this transformation has been. Because what's unfolding isn't a slow, predictable climb up the rankings. It's something rawer than that. Something that feels alive every time she steps onto a court. Alex isn't just getting better at tennis. She's becoming a presence, the kind that changes the energy in a stadium the second her name gets called. And that's not something you can manufacture with good coaching or a hot streak of results. That's something that comes from deep inside a competitor. And right now, it's pouring out of her in ways that are genuinely hard to ignore. So let's talk about it, because this story deserves more than a highlight reel. It deserves context, it deserves honesty, and it deserves the kind of conversation that goes beyond numbers and rankings. Because what Alex is building right now is something that could genuinely reshape the landscape of women's tennis. And the people who are watching closely already feel it. There's a specific quality that separates the great players from the ones who simply compete at a high level. And it's almost impossible to define with stats. You feel it when a player walks onto the court, and the crowd gets a little louder without even realizing why. You feel it when someone loses the first set, and instead of shrinking, they lean forward. You feel it when a player wins a brutal point, and the celebration isn't relief, it's hunger. Alex has that quality, and it's been growing match by match in a way that's starting to turn heads across the entire tour. Think back to where she was even a year ago. She was the girl with the ranking, the girl with the potential, the girl people said would be something someday, and that word, someday, is both a gift and a trap. It gives you room to grow, but it also keeps you at a distance from the conversation that matters. Alex has been quietly, relentlessly closing that distance. Every tournament she enters now, she enters differently. There's a stillness about her before matches that wasn't always there. A kind of quiet focus that tells you she's not just hoping to compete anymore. She expects to. And that mental shift, that internal transformation from hoping to expecting, is where champions are actually born. It doesn't happen in the gym. It doesn't happen in practice. It happens in those private moments when an athlete looks at themselves honestly and decides they're ready. Alex made that decision, and the tennis world is starting to feel the consequences. Now, here's where things get genuinely interesting. Because the name that keeps coming up whenever people talk about who sits at the very top of this sport is Aryna Sabalenka, and rightfully so. Sabalenka has earned everything she has through years of brutal, relentless work. She hits the ball harder than almost anyone on tour. She competes with a ferocity that's almost physical to witness, and she wins big matches in big moments. That's not luck. That's the product of a champion's mindset developed over a long career. But here's what people are starting to notice. And this is the part that makes the current moment so fascinating. When Alex plays, something different happens in the crowd. It's not louder necessarily, but it's deeper. It's more connected. People aren't just watching her play tennis. They're watching her story unfold in real time. And there's a difference between those two things that's hard to put into words, but impossible to miss. Sabalenka commands admiration. She walks onto a court, and you respect her immediately. But Alex makes you feel something. She makes you want to lean in. She makes you feel like you're part of what's happening rather than just an audience for it. And in an era where sports is as much about emotional connection as it is about performance, that quality is incredibly powerful. It's not a replacement for results. It's a multiplier of them, because when fans are emotionally invested in you, every win feels bigger. Every comeback feels more dramatic. Every match feels like it matters more than the score suggests. Alex has tapped into something genuine there, and it's only going to grow louder as her results keep pace with her momentum. And her results are keeping pace. That's the thing. This isn't just a narrative being built on potential and personality. She's backing it up on the court with a style of play that's becoming harder and harder for opponents to solve. The way she moves now has a different rhythm to it. She's not just fast, she's smart fast. She reads the play earlier, she recovers to position more efficiently, and she makes opponents feel like they can never quite find an angle that hurts her. Her ground strokes have developed real venom, but the thing that stands out most is her decision-making under pressure. That's usually the last thing to arrive for young players because it requires something experience can't shortcut. It requires the scar tissue that only comes from losing close matches, from blowing leads, from being in the fire and learning exactly how hot it burns. Alex has lived through those moments. Every player at her level has. But what's different now is what she does with those memories. She doesn't run from them. She uses them. You can see it in the third sets, in the tie breaks, in those late game moments where lesser players start making mistakes born from doubt. Alex starts making decisions born from clarity. That's a huge deal. That's the difference between a player who competes and a player who wins. And Alex is learning how to win, not just in terms of scorelines, but in terms of the mental architecture that makes winning a habit rather than an accident. Let's be real about something though, because this story isn't without its complications. The more attention Alex gets, the heavier the weight becomes. That's just the reality of rising in a sport where every match is dissected and every result is framed as either a breakthrough or a setback. The tennis media, the fans, the social media commentary, it all creates a kind of pressure that can warp a young player's perspective if they're not careful. Some players get caught up in the noise. They start playing for the narrative instead of playing for themselves. They lose that pure competitive instinct that got them to this point and replace it with a kind of performance anxiety dressed up as ambition. The great ones don't do that. The great ones somehow figure out how to hear all the noise and still go back to what got them here. Discipline, focus, the willingness to grind through the ugly matches and the difficult stretches without needing validation from the outside world. Everything we've seen from Alex lately suggests she's wired that way. She doesn't seem to shrink under the spotlight. If anything, she seems to grow into it. There's a composure about her in the big moments that feels earned rather than performed. And that kind of composure is the foundation everything else gets built on. Because talent can take you to the door of greatness, but it's composure that actually opens it. Now, let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture, because Alex's rise doesn't happen in isolation. It happens in the context of a sport that is always hungry for its next defining story. Tennis goes through these cycles where a generation of players establishes dominance, and then slowly, inevitably, the next wave begins to rise. The young players who were once the underdogs start chipping away at the established order. And then one day, almost without warning, the power shifts. We're in one of those moments right now. The top of the rankings has been remarkably stable for a while, and that stability is starting to show the first signs of pressure from below. Alex is one of the players applying that pressure, and she's doing it with a style and a story that feels tailor-made for this exact moment in the sport. She's not trying to be anyone else. She's not trying to copy the power game of the players ahead of her or adopt a playing style that doesn't feel natural. She's building something that is entirely her own, and that authenticity is what makes her so compelling to watch. There's a uniqueness to how she constructs points that keeps even experienced analysts guessing, and opponents are starting to find that unpredictability genuinely uncomfortable. Good. That discomfort is how upsets happen. That discomfort is how the sport evolves. And every time Alex makes a top player slightly uncomfortable, she's writing a little more of her own legend into the record. Now, imagine where this goes if the trajectory holds. Not guaranteed. Nothing in sport ever is, but imagine the version of this story where Alex keeps improving at the rate she's been improving, keeps building the mental resilience that's been so visible lately, keeps connecting with fans in that deeply personal way that no one can fake or force. You start to see a player who isn't just competing for titles, but competing for a place in the conversation about all-time greats. That's not hype. That's extrapolation from what's actually happening on the court. And the best part of it is, we get to watch it unfold in real time. Every match is a new chapter. Every result either confirms or challenges the narrative. And that kind of ongoing story is what makes sports feel alive in a way that almost nothing else can replicate. The tension, the uncertainty, the emotional investment, all of it is genuinely unscripted. What Alex does with the momentum she has right now will determine which version of this story gets told. The version where the potential was real, but the follow-through was incomplete. Or the version where the potential was just the opening paragraph of a much longer and much more extraordinary story. Based on what we're seeing right now, based on the way she competes and the way she carries herself and the way she handles the pressure that's been building around her game, everything points toward the second version. Everything suggests that what we're watching isn't the peak of Alexandra Eala's story. It's the part right before things get truly remarkable. And that's the most exciting place to be as a fan. Right at the edge of something, watching it build, feeling the momentum grow, knowing that the best is still ahead. Hold on to this moment. Pay attention to every match she plays from here. Because years from now, when Alex is standing at the top of this sport with everything she's worked for finally in her hands, people are going to look back at this period and say that this was when it all started to become real. Not someday anymore. Now,